Chief Boyce. Thank you for joining us today.
Jenda, good to be with you once again.
Yes, once again, yes, of course, yes. Life goes around full circle, as they say. Yes,
As it should.
That's right, that's right. So please enlighten us, especially the young generation, on what it takes to be successful. How do you start your day?
So, Jenda, my day starts the same as it did when I was chief of detectives. And I'm out 6 years now, so it's been a while. It's a transition, and now it's finally kicking into that last part of the transition, which is acceptance, and you're not doing that. Funny thing is that I live the same way I used to, but without the responsibility, obviously, without the demand. So you wake up early, and the first thing you do is you check your feed on the overnight and see what happens. Because I work for ABC News, I'm in the news business, I have to stay up on things, because I could get that phone call and to appear on camera at some point.
24/7.
24/7. Well, that I would say almost 24. I need my sleep. I need my sleep now. So that's the way I look at things. I look at the same thing: what happened on the overnight, what's going on, both nationally and citywide, and also geopolitically, because that factors into what we do. So you look at all these things, and you don't react to them, but you prepare yourself. You read the feeds as they come in to understand what's going on, and in case you have to be ready. For the most part, for ABC News, I handle, they ask me about homicide investigations, gun crime and gun possession, illegal gun possession as well, more than anything. Also active shooters. Along those lines, riot situations across the country, which was big in the last couple of years. So all those things will factor in as the police expert, the talking head, if you will, about what that chief is going through right now, what are the commands that chief is giving at any given moment across the country. And sometimes you'll see people rise and people fall as well sometimes. When you talk about active shooters, what are they doing? What needs to be done immediately? And because you don't have a lot of information, so you're guessing what they're experiencing right now. So you have to fill that time slot with as much experience as you have in those things. And I've been fortunate. I helped write the active shooter protocol for the NYPD.
Yes.
So I know exactly what, and it's pretty much the same across the country. And it's immediate entry.
Yes,
And
immediate response.
That takes real courage to go through a door when you hear gunfire going, knowing it could be you. Because you really don't know what's behind the door.
Yes.
But you're compelled to do so in your profession and your oath. And every now and again, people fail that.
That's right, like in Texas. Yeah.
Yes, Uvalde, Texas. And I tell you, it took me a while to understand how many problems were in that investigation, because it was so slow coming out. And yet you turn around and you have the Nashville thing, where the officers were tremendous. They immediately went in, created a stack on the door, exactly what we teach, with long arms going in, and then terminated the threat.
Saved lives.
Saved lives. Saved their lives too, and others. So that's what you're looking for, and that's what we talk about. Sure, there's one Uvalde, but there's a plethora of other incidents where the police rise up and do really, really well.
Correct, and it's not known.
And it's not. It needs to be stated.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of in law enforcement, unless you're in it, you really don't understand your duties and responsibilities in your specific tasking. So that's all part of that's what I try to explain. Homicide investigations. I remember the Iowa State murders, the Idaho State murders, I believe, and everybody was giving the chief a hard time there, and because he didn't have any experience in homicides investigation. He's a town police with a very low crime rate, but he has a lot of young kids, so no one gave him a lot of credit, and there was a lot of negativity initially, and even by one of the victims' families. So I had to explain exactly. Wait a second. He just brought in the FBI and the state police. And now he's the spokesman. He's doing his job. This takes a little while to get grasped. And it turns out it was the right call by the chief.
Right.
But it took a little while. People understand that. If you're out of your element, don't be afraid to bring people in that can help you. And you can ask me further on that in our conversations going forward.
Yes, yes. Wow. The society continues to benefit from your experience and wisdom. And so once again, how do you start your day? You're on call most of the time. Do you wake up early? How do you get rested? Do you exercise? I mean, what goes on in your mind to stay positive and productive?
So the big thing is, you're right, is the attitude you have towards what you do.
Attitude.
Right. You really want to be in you still have relevance that's God-given, because I never expected it at this point. I really didn't. When I retired, ABC approached me and hired me as the contributor. And then the Hollywood people came up to me and asked me if they would want to be interested in a TV show. Now, understand the reason I got into this, because I had no interest in it initially,
Yes.
was the fact that George Floyd had changed the country, that incident. And it was terrible, a horrible optic. And I wanted people to understand, we're not that guy standing on that.
No,
That's
we're
not
not.
us. We don't do that stuff.
No, that's the outlier.
That's just an aberration. And it's and well, good to him what happened to him, going to jail.
Yeah.
So that's not us at all.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show them what the good we do in the society.
Correct.
And that's why we started New York Homicide.
Correct. Yes, and this the purpose of this channel is to bring some balance back to the media and to especially all the negativity that we have been exposed to. That there's a lot more good out there than bad, right? Because the negative news always gets the attention.
Jenda, in any human endeavor, there's going to be failure. It's
Yes.
just the way that is.
Yes.
And so, but you can cut that down through training and accountability, and
Okay.
and intuitive moves that you make in the moment. Everybody can walk outside the moment and drill you down about what your failures were. But what information you acted on, and how you infused structure into chaos, that's what matters. That's what matters most. And so, and I've been through that many times.
Yes.
A little battle tested with that, and understand that you need a team to handle that properly. So one of the big things I want to offer you today is the team building when you're in a leadership role.
Okay.
Because you can't be all things to all people, and God has given you certain abilities that are innate, but others that are not.
So work with your talents.
Work with your talent, understand them, and that's what drives you in your career too. You really like the work. You really think you're making a difference, and also acquire skills along the way.
Yes.
You need to acquire skills. You need to go to training. You need
Yes.
to be taught certain things, and going forward, and then use them in your strategies. And that's what you do: acquire skills, innate abilities, team building. That's what's going to get you over the hump. You'll grow in stature and abilities as you go through the ranks, as you do these experiences, and understand you learn from each one.
Wow. Well, since you entered the police department in 1983, had you envisioned that you would be putting in 35 years until you reached the mandatory retirement age of 63?
It was very funny when I started. It was a very different city in January of 1983. I will tell you that
sure was.
What's out that window right now didn't happen.
Yes.
It was a very different city, and different trainings that we got as young police officers, and also the fact that crime was out of bounds. It was a different city. People were not safe, and some people, if you're old enough, will remember people used to put in signs in their car, no radio. So it gets stolen. People didn't wear jewelry in the subway. People walked in a different fashion than they do now. And we had whole vast areas of the city that were neglected and weren't built up and weren't invested in. And when you came out there, you were, I was looking like, when I came on in 1983, I looked like the same cop who came on in 1953. A lot of differences there. We had a radio, probably the big difference in a bulletproof vest and a bullet-resistant vest. Those were the differences that 1953 cop didn't have. So you look at that and you go forward, and then they would ask you what you wanted, and it wasn't hard to make an arrest because there was a lot of crime, and you worked off the 9/11 until you kind of started grasping things.
Interesting.
So when I came on in '83, I started on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, the 2-4 precinct, a great place to start, and great cops that I learned from. My God, they were tremendous there, and then was in a narcotics unit within the precinct, and then crack hit and changed everything.
Oh.
Changed everything.
What?
And all of a sudden, the city was a very different place.
Yes.
A lot of crime, a lot of victims, a lot of violence that came out of it.
Crack
And
epidemic.
within 2 years, I found myself in the narcotics division
Okay.
because they were building up narcotics to face this oncoming onslaught
Yes.
of crack. So first in Manhattan South, and then in Queens. After Eddie Byrne was murdered in Queens, I went out there to work.
Yes.
For some time. Very, very intense investigations. It turned people evil. That the drug bosses at the time, which were well known. And so you really went out there at organizations as best you can. So that was what I did. 2 years after that, I was promoted to sergeant. And went to Brooklyn North. And ended up in the 7-3 precinct in Brownsville. And I never really saw it's a challenging community. The challenge that I had in helping people, because they need us there. And you realize that, even though some people don't want to stay, the criminal element doesn't. But the good people of Brownsville,
Oh, they need the police.
They need
always.
the police. And if you go past the, the bombastic statements of some politicians and
Yes.
things like that, and want to make you an invading army, you're not.
Right.
You become a threat in that community, an important threat as well. And the good people get to know you,
Right.
and you get to know them.
That's right.
And that's what drives you. That's what
Yes.
drives you. I mean, we
yes.
were pulling guns off the street every night there.
Yes, yes.
You know, because it was so dangerous there. And this is before all the gangs hit too.
Yes.
This was just rampant violence. So a lot of people on the street. And after that, a couple of years later, I found myself in the 7-5 Detective Squad, which is East New York, which is right next door. And learned a lot there. Started working homicides there. Understood what was necessary, what had to be done immediately, crime scenes, and working out the violence there, and figuring out what your victims was, what was going on in his life at that point.
Yeah.
So that's what you build from there.
Yeah.
Got promoted to lieutenant out of that, and then went
Okay.
to the 8-8 squad, and then the 7-9 squad. Same type of work, intense investigations, but clearly you acquire skills that you didn't have. You're intuitive, and the picking up on things, some savvy to it, really valuing your detectives that work for you, and just really then became the advent of CompStat. And if you're looking at any organization about a ladder for success, CompStat was the way for the New York City Police Department.
Yes, please touch on that. Yeah, CompStat.
So I was a sergeant, started as a sergeant, going there in 1995 in East New York, Brooklyn, and then as a lieutenant in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, and Bed-Stuy. So at the times they were pretty much different places than they are now, and so there was a lot of crime. Crack was still relevant in the city, and so you learned how to handle yourself. And I learned a lot from CompStat. I thought it was the success ladder in the police department. I will tell you, when I came on the job, I had no thought that I would ever be a lieutenant squad commander. Never. I always thought those were people who knew somebody or were there forever.
No, there is a meritocracy.
Yeah, and so it created, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It created a meritocracy in the police department, CompStat, how you did at the podium, how you conducted yourself, how you answered your questions,
Right.
and what you told them back.
Right.
Because they were using that, what you told them, to challenge other people as well. You would tell, I remember there was before search engines became good in databases, we had this photo manager, it was called. And so it collected all kinds of data from everybody else in your precinct. So I remember people lying to us when they got shot, who they were, because they had warrants. They don't want to go to jail on a warrant. So people lie about their names, but they don't lie about their date of birth for some reason. So you would run the date of birth and he would pop right up. So I shared that at CompStat, and it really went viral after that too. So I started making my way, making my reputation. And in the police department, in any pursuit in life, your reputation is what you should always be on prime for.
Right.
You don't want to
Reputation is key.
It's key. People can rely on you. People will say, "Oh, Jenda, woo, okay, I had him then, and he's that now, and I can go to him, and he's going to tell me things I don't know." So your reputation matters. You should always guard it. You should. Sometimes you're going to have to risk it, but nonetheless, there's much more reward and risk than anything else when it comes to your reputation because you tried.
Yes.
And because of that, I was given certain assignments that weren't given to anybody else. So always in the fire, understood high crime and intense, crime conditions, and know how to battle them back.
Right.
So when I got made captain, I went back to East New York, Brooklyn, as the XO there, and learned from the precinct commander there, who taught me a lot.
Yes.
Because I really didn't know patrol as much as I knew investigation.
Yes.
So another asset there, going back and understanding a high crime precinct. I think we had 350 people in the precinct at the time. And if you know anything about it, 7-5 precinct in East New York, it's the busiest precinct in the city.
It is.
So, and with the most crime, so you work there.
Yes.
It was a bonus that I had been there already as a sergeant. So went there, and then from there, pretty much they would use me as the 9-0 precinct needs somebody, for a couple months to run the place until we pick a new CO. So I would do that, and then in Bushwick, Brooklyn as well, the 8-3 to 9-0. And then I got my own command in the South Bronx. So you're taking a Brooklyn guy and just dropping him in the Bronx, which we do all the time.
Yes.
Which you go around the city, different places, and you have to pick up quick.
Yeah.
So the first day you start building
New people.
and you have to build a team.
Start all over again.
Sometimes the existing team is not what you want. And it's funny because when I walked through the door in the 40 precinct, historic precinct in South Bronx, two of my lieutenants asked to leave immediately.
Wow.
And, okay.
Wow.
You can go.
Okay.
I'll be fine two others. And with that, another two lieutenants walked in the door that day, two transfers.
Okay.
I knew them from Brooklyn, so it worked out really well.
Okay.
And so we were able to put together a crime plan that reduced crime in the 40 precinct in the South Bronx. So did 2 years there. I was there when 9/11 hit. And so driving into work one day, I heard Chief Joseph Esposito, rest in peace, call over, we're under a terrorist attack. And so I was in a police department car, flipped the lights, head to the precinct. As I get there, I called in, I said, give me one sergeant and 8 cops right now, we're going downtown.
Yes.
I got there and I was immediately ordered to shut down all the bridges that went
It
out.
was a level 4, right? Yeah.
Level 4. And it was, I had to shut down 4 bridges from the Bronx into Manhattan, which we were able to do.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And that was my task that day.
Wow.
That night, I did go down there and experience the wreckage. And
Yeah,
the
you were
horror.
down there.
Yes. It was just terrible scene. I got down there, it was still chaotic. There was still a lot of things going on. I secured the bridge to Manhattan and went down lower Manhattan. And you could taste it in the air.
Yes,
You know,
the smell.
The smell and the particulates, the airborne particulates.
Yes.
I think that's what's killing everybody, by the way.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That's definitely it. And
Yes.
it was a terrible thing, but you didn't know what you didn't know. You just go forward to do your job. At great personal risk, but again, people ask me, would you still do it? And everybody I've asked in the police department said, yes,
Right.
we'll still do it.
Many have died
Many have
after
died.
after the fact.
Good,
years later.
close friends I watched die.
Yes.
And I went to their hospital beds and
Yes.
watched them pass. It's a terrifying experience, and it's a brutal death as well. And I can't emphasize that enough. In my time in the NYPD, the thing that most bothers me is watching the aftermath of 9/11.
Right.
Plus, I watched the tower, second tower, go down from the bridge. Now it's called the JFK Bridge, but the Triborough at the time. While I was shutting that bridge down, which was my largest bridge, and it just in shock.
With your own eyes. Yeah.
Your own eyes, yeah. So it's a very strange memory. It comes up every year, and every year it gets harder. It doesn't get easier. So that's one of the things, one of the most dramatic things in my career. At that point, the city was in good stead. We were solving crime, but this was an outside, external threat that we hadn't seen before. And the police department changed with that. In came Commissioner Kelly and put together a counter-terrorism plan that can't be rivaled around the world. It's just the best.
That's right.
We have assets throughout Europe and Asia.
Yes, we set the standard. Yeah.
We set the standard, and with help from the private sector.
Of course.
Give them their due.
Of course.
The Police Foundation did a great job at helping us with that. So now we have information. We don't have to rely on anybody, even though we do. We sit in councils, we sit in meetings, and I had several cases with terrorism in my time. One when I was a lieutenant in the 8A precinct, 2 individuals wanted to blow up the Flatbush Avenue station. We were able to stop that before it happened, and we had information that led to an arrest of 2 people that we actually had to shoot because they were trying to blow up the satchel in Brooklyn. And when we saw the satchel, it had 9 pipe bombs in it.
Wow.
With anti-personnel dice. They were like construction nails, like 9-inch nails, wrapped. It would have been the first suicide bomber in New York at the time. That was my case.
And people, it's all forgotten.
It's
remembers.
forgotten until something comes up.
Correct.
And then we go back to that. And again, I learned a lot from that case too.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, so-
Firsthand.
Yeah. Later on in my career, we had we had an incident on 23rd Street in September 2016. I was the chief of detectives at the time, and an individual, Rahimi, came from New York, Ahmad Khan Rahimi, and with different bombs, much like the Boston Massacre bombs. And so he set off one on 23rd Street, injured 30 people, some seriously, but no one died.
Yeah.
And he set another bomb on 27th Street that was accidentally diffused by people walking by looking at the bag.
Right.
An act of God.
Right,
An act of
downtown,
God.
yes.
Yeah, so had that case as well, and I learned something really dramatic. I spoke to the counter-terrorism commissioner at the time, John Miller. I said, because the perp was gone, we were searching him now, and we figured he went back to Jersey. It's the FBI's case. The protocol is theirs if it's terrorism. We're in support. And so you mount, and so we had pictures of our subject from cameras that we gave to the FBI. And I said, John, the guy's going to have to give it up. When I surrounded him, he goes, no, he's not. John told me no, he's going to fight to the end, and he did.
Wow.
He
Wow.
shot out with the police. I think the
Wow.
Elizabeth, New Jersey police shot him. I think over 10 times. It still didn't kill him. And he shot 2 police officers, but it ended. He was arrested. And then just a couple months later, we had the massacre on it was October of 2017, I should say, another year later. On Halloween, Saifullah Saipov rented a truck from Home Depot and put it on a bike path, killing 8 people.
Right. Right.
A direct response to that.
Yes.
Wasn't that far from headquarters.
Yes. Yes.
Chambers straight west.
I remember that coming over the air. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
That was wicked.
Westbound on Chambers.
That was wicked.
So you were there immediately, and the team started immediately coming together.
Yes.
We had, the police officers responded, shot and wounded Saifullah Saipov, but what else is going on? Clearly, it was ISIS related. We found all the stuff in his vehicle.
Ironically, it wasn't most Americans that were victims. They were tourists,
Yes.
foreigners.
six Argentinian fellows. They came up for associate. Came
Right.
up for a weekend, a celebratory weekend when that was a graduation day, and they passed in that. And then
horrible.
They were on the ground when we got there.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah. So then 2 months later, Akayadullah tried to blow up the 42nd Street station. Again, we're in support. FBI's got the lead, but we're helping the FBI with whatever they need. That ended better. We had injuries, but no one was killed, and we were able to arrest him and prosecute him. So it's an international city, and you need to understand that.
Right.
It's
That is correct.
You're not sitting on an island, even though it's
right.
Manhattan
New
Island
York
or
City.
whatever.
Yep.
New York City is
Yep.
an icon. It's freedom's doorstep, I call it.
Wow.
People come here first.
Freedom's doorstep. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so people come here first, and
Yes.
and that's the big issue here. You have to understand that when you're a New York City cop, and you get it. And so, but unless you're in that uniform, you don't get it.
No,
you
no,
really
no.
don't know
That is correct.
what you encounter
That's
each day. So that's some of the highlights that or lowlights, if you will, because people died in my time, defending the city as best you can, patrolling the city, and being as even-handed as you can, and training your individuals, your men and women, to understand that training doesn't stop at the police academy. And you know that. You keep getting training and
you
training.
learn something,
training.
it's
Yes, and
continuous.
each day, you can count each day you turn out a platoon, a roll call. You're training.
Yeah.
Something happens and you want to relate it to them.
Oh, anything
they
can
know.
happen.
Exactly.
That's
You remember you worked with me in a 6-7.
Yes, yes. This was the first time I met you. I was a rookie,
Yes.
and you were the commanding officer.
I was, and it's a great place.
Yes. Oh,
You
fantastic.
couldn't have started
place.
in a better place. I'm
Yes,
telling
yes.
you right now.
Oh, a great learning place. Yes, yes.
And it was great people, and some of the crime really takes away from the good people who live there.
Correct.
It's a Caribbean American community, and hey, just so much fun.
I mean, less than 1% are the troublemakers.
Exactly right.
That is
exactly right. And it's an immigrant community as well.
Yes.
And so you understand that even though they tell you have 400,000 residents, you have 600,000 people.
Right.
It's just the way it
Unaccounted
is.
for, yeah.
Unaccounted for.
Yeah.
Just know that, but it doesn't really matter.
No. Yeah.
It's not going to do you any good. So you might as well just accept it and go forward with that. And that's from there. 4 years there. I was there longer than I was in high school. I really liked it. I liked it. And so I still speak.
Oh, there were great cops there.
Oh,
Yeah,
tremendous.
yeah.
That's how you build your tree.
Yeah,
as you
great
go up.
crew. Yeah.
So from there, I went to the as a CO of the gang unit, and when gangs were just coming up. The funny thing was, I really wanted some task forces with gangs. I wanted some federal help
Okay.
because there was an emerging threat, and it was the number one motive for shootings at one time in the city. Still is probably, and we had to address this threat. We're losing young people to gangs,
Right.
and when you lose them to that, they immediately get to join a gang. You usually have to commit a crime.
Yes, that's right.
And
Yeah.
so
Initiation.
immediately initiation, and usually
Yeah.
you're committing a crime. Now you're in the your reputation is sullied, and now you have that on you. You have a NYC number. So
Yes.
so you start down that path.
Yes,
from,
yes.
from the gang culture.
Yes. This thing called a NYCID number.
Yes.
Just you can tell the layman out there, our audience, our good audience, what exactly is a NYCID number?
NYC number is the New York State identification number that identifies you, whatever you are. We have it too as police officers.
Yes.
Anytime you're fingerprinted, you get a NYC number. So it's good and bad, but it's mostly bad because that's how we control criminals. That's how they're known. Criminal can tell you they're John Jones, but you know they're Pete Smith.
That's
And
right,
So
that's
it's
right.
just one of those things. And I can tell you, oh, it's John Jones. So it's from the fingerprinting that we do. So that's what a NYC number
Okay.
does. So that's what gets you on the footing to gang into a criminal life. Next thing you know, you're in jail for years doing a criminal act.
Right. You can't shake it. No.
No, and so you try to stop that before it gets that way. And you're growing up in tough neighborhoods, which I worked, so I understood that. So I did 4 years there, and really built a team there, but didn't have the resources. And I'm going to get back to this point later on when we were talking. Didn't have the resources to fully confront it. That our threat was not from crack anymore. It was from gangs. It was from gangs. So it had switched. So at some point in 2010, I went to became the commanding officer of Bronx Detectives, and loved it. Loved it. Great detectives up there, with so much poverty in the Bronx that people don't talk about enough. I think the Lower South Bronx is the poorest congressional district in the country, I was told when I was there. But resilient, nice people.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Deserve,
hardworking.
to deserve everything we can give them.
Yes.
And it's again, it's also a starting point for a lot of new Americans coming over. So I spent 3 years there, and then I was and really developed a great team, people that helped me run Detective Bureau Bronx, and helped became good friends with the patrol bureau commander, who was Carlos Gomez at the time. And so we went down. So I became chief of Manhattan Detectives after that, and it's like going to Oz and being a cop in Oz.
Wow,
What
a storied career. Yeah.
Manhattan is Manhattan. So I was there about 11 months, and then Bill Bratton came in.
Yes, yes, Commissioner Bratton.
Made me chief of detectives.
A legend, a legend.
I was, and I still learn from him.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
and so it's we talk every now and again. It's funny what he has to impart to me and everybody in the room.
Oh, the man was a genius. Innovative.
Yes.
I mean,
He sits above and watches and
Correct.
lets his people do the work, and understanding that that's the way it should be.
and he understands his limitations. Yes.
Great man. So so then chief of detectives, and at some point, Chief Bratton gives me about 3,000 police officers, detectives, excuse me, from the Organized Crime Control Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
So he merges the two into one unified investigative model, which was the Detective Bureau at that time. So next thing I knew, I have just about 6,000 people on it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So and you have to understand that you can't get to every little detail. You need direct reports to you, and I had 16 direct reports from different chiefs around the city, and you have to help them with manage their thing in any way you can. And a lot has to do with training, and a lot has to do with getting people in the right spot.
Yeah.
So the problem we had with gangs then across the city was they were doing hits out of upstate. They were running their gangs from upstate prison cells. A lot of them had to do with murders, contract
No
murders.
kidding. From upstate.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do is get them federally prosecuted, the leaders in these things, who controlled the gangs. This way they would be geographically unable to run their gangs.
Targeted the big fish.
Yes.
Yes.
And so cut off the head, kill the snake.
Yes.
So it was, we were able to put together task forces. I went to Bill Bratton, I said, listen, we really need federal help here. I said, I said, we're the NYPD, we're the big dogs on the block, but nonetheless, we can be better with federal task forces. He was all in. So we opened up federal task forces and other task forces that brought other federal agencies and state agencies into the thing. So I think I ended up, in my time, our team ended up with 10 joint task forces we didn't have before. Wow. So cybercrime, gangs, bank robbery, human trafficking, all these things, specific knowledge. So people doing specific work with skill sets that you help train them in with the abilities they brought to the thing. And it was really clicking. In fact, in 2017, we had the lowest murder count the city had seen since the 1940s. We're down to 273 murders.
Yes.
Still 273 too many, but an amazing amount. And I think we had 800 shootings or something like that.
Right.
Again, against 5,000 just a few years before.
Right.
So with that kind of intense scrutiny, we were able to, police the city so much better. And then, again, my time expired. You can't be a police officer when you're 63 years old.
That's right. That's right.
So, so out the door I went. I worked to my last day.
It's amazing.
Proudly worked
It's
to my
amazing.
last day.
What people do not appreciate is the magic, the combination of you and Commissioner Bratton had that actually saved lives.
And others.
That's a fact.
We had a great team. He put together a great team. That's
And
what's
others,
important.
yes,
It's not you. It's never you alone.
And this is what you're talking about, resources,
Yeah.
right? Because you could have easily sat back, be passive, sit on your laurels, and just wait for age 63 to roll around. But
Yeah.
you didn't.
Then,
Yeah.
and you have to work with your colleagues. You shouldn't have an ego game with your colleagues at all. It should be all about get the job done.
And what is your advice to police officers who are currently on the job, patrolmen, patrolwomen, and supervisors? As you mentioned, you have to have a good team.
You do, and you should follow what you want to do. You came into law enforcement for a purpose. What is it you want to do in law enforcement? Do you want to go into an emergency service type of situation? Do you want to do investigations? Do you want to do something else? And I understand whatever you do. You do intelligence bureau, whatever.
Right.
Or you could stay on patrol if you really like it. There's nothing wrong with that because it's a lot of fun. And you get every day's a new day, as you know.
Every day's a new day, yes.
And it's not the normal career that other people have.
Nope.
And you learn how to mitigate problems before they happen.
Yes.
You learn how to resolve issues. And that's a big part of it too. So find out what you want to do and then go in that direction.
You have to like what you do.
You do.
You have to have a passion in it, right?
You do, and it just comes in much easily to the job, and you never regret that point. I when I was a young cop in the 2-4 precinct, I handled a murder one time, and I was the first officer in the scene. It was my crime scene.
Yes.
And this individual, and it was a terrible scene. It was a young lady murdered, put in a plastic bag, and deposited on the wall on Central Park.
This is the Upper West Side.
Upper West Side.
Near Central Park.
That happened today would be the biggest thing, but then it was not.
It's commonplace,
There's too many murders in the city at that point.
Yeah.
And so we locked it down. The detectives came, and I'm thinking to myself, I tell my partner, well, I won't solve this. There's nothing here. How are we going to solve this, man? So back then, you actually have to come in to identify the body. You were the first officer seen to the ME.
Right.
It's an important step in the process. You were there. This is the same person I saw, so you can make that connection to the medical examiner.
Yes.
And so I went to the Sergeant Boyce, I'm here. I got to go down to the ME. He goes, all right, talk to the squad first. They already made a collar. My eyes popped out of my head, really. And I went up, and a 40-year detective walked me through the whole investigation.
40?
40-year detective.
Wow,
40 years old. 40 years in the job.
4 decades. Yes. That's
the job. To walk me through the investigation.
Yes,
He goes, no, we found witnesses that saw the perpetrator pushing a cart. All right, and down to that location, we followed him back. We had other witnesses saw him go into a building. Went into the building. We arrested him. That's shoe leather.
Yeah.
Shoe leather did that. No tech there. Very low tech.
No. There was no iPhone.
So I asked him about the perpetrator. He says, well, he killed someone in 1963. So I looked at him. I said, he killed someone when Kennedy was president? He goes, yeah. So I said, he's out again? Yeah. So fast forward, it's a tragic story, but I think it needs telling.
Okay.
And so now that's '84, and I'm in. Now I'm retired. It's about 2019, 2020. I work for ABC News, and I get a call from ABC News. There's a murder in East New York, Brooklyn, which I know very well. I think it was Jamaica Avenue, right there, and Jamaica and Penn, which is a very busy location, and they tell us it's dismembered parts, exactly what the other case was, thinking nothing.
Fit the pattern.
Yeah. Fit a pattern from the 60s.
From the 60s, yes.
All right, so the case really multiplies very quickly. Great detectives, they figure out video, they see the guy come out.
Yeah.
It's the same perpetrator from 1984, the same perpetrator from 1963. He was arrested. He's facing trial now, but he did
as we speak.
He did 2 murders, one in 1963, one in 1984.
Wow.
Why do we keep letting him out?
Right.
He's 80-something and he's still killing women. Crazy.
In his 80s.
Yes. There's a lot of stories like that, unfortunately. There's too many.
Yes.
How the detectives can put people in jail, but they should stay there. They're a threat to society.
Incredible.
So
Incredible.
So that's one of the stories, and that's how I got involved in investigations. So I figured I want to do it. I want to be like that. I did 35 years. I did 40 years. His name was Pete. I didn't know his name was Pete, but
God bless him.
He embarked me on a career that I really piqued my interest, and I wanted to do.
Interesting.
So that's how it got started. My plan, where I went into, what I wanted to do in the police department was that investigations. And needs of the department, you might get there. You might have to do certain things to get there, but you get there. And you got to keep trying and keep your vigilance up because that's important.
Yes, for people contemplating a career in law enforcement, do you recommend the NYPD today in these times?
Jenda, I will recommend the NYPD till the day I die.
Yes.
It's the greatest organization in the world. It is the premier police organization in the world.
Yes.
The only one bigger in the world is London Metropolitan Police Service. And God bless them. My London friends, is nothing to you.
Yes.
But we are the
God
NYPD.
save the king. Yep.
Yeah. We are the NYPD, and you will be exposed to things that you won't be exposed to anywhere else.
Yes, yes. So disregard all the negativity. See the job for yourself.
Right.
It's not like the military. There's no term of enlistment. You could quit 1 week into the police academy, right? There's nothing to pay back.
Nothing.
You're not signing your life away, and you're getting paid while you're getting trained.
Remember, the police academy is not the job.
No, it's not the job. No,
Not
no,
the job at all.
no,
You
not
go
at
there
all.
and when I came on, it was on 20th Street.
Yes, 20th Street. Yes.
And you run around the gym and you learn how to box. I already knew how to box.
Yes, yes, and the dirty locker rooms.
Dirty locker rooms. the old facilities.
Yes.
And now it's in a brand new place.
Yes.
So it's that's changed, and the tasking has changed. The police department. Now you're like RoboCop. You have these cameras, and,
Correct,
which
yes.
are helpful, by the way.
Yes.
Do really help police.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And so is the audio that it creates.
That is it.
And you're dressed. Sometimes you see these guys all dressed up, and
Yes.
you know,
No, all cops are for the body camera.
Yes.
Every cop I know,
Yes.
is for the body camera.
I mean, when I started, I wore a light blue shirt, and now everybody's in dark blue shirts. It's changed dramatically. The weaponry has changed. The training has changed dramatically.
Yes.
So now you're in a better position, but you're in a different world. Everything you do is under a video
Yes,
thing.
yes,
So
that's
you have to be rigid, and you really have to be strong in your profession to understand you can't let little things bother you. It's all about the job and getting the job done as professionally as possible.
Yes, and in many ways, the essence of the job never changes because we're dealing with human nature,
Right.
right?
The biggest threat now is mental illness.
Yes, mental illness. Yes.
And we still don't have an answer for it. So
No.
there's a societal default to the police.
Yes.
And it's
yes.
not fair to the police.
Yes.
But the police have to understand exactly when you see it's a changing. You catch someone in an episode,
Yes.
and you understand that you have to really constrict that person's movements immediately before he hurts not only someone else but himself. And it's not fair to that person in that episode because they rationally can't understand what they're in. So we let these individuals walk around half naked in the middle of winter, sleeping on heat
Yes,
grates.
right.
And to me, that's more immoral than anything else. But
Yes,
it continues.
yes,
Because
yes.
there's political will needed there to resolve that. And it keeps everybody safer. Get that person into rehab, get him some help, put him on meds. And we haven't learned.
No, we
learned.
haven't.
Still
We
continues.
have to help our brothers and sisters.
Right.
Sleeping on the grate.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not fair to them. It's not fair to their family. The families can't handle them. So they're left to the police to handle.
Right.
You know, and now you're a young policeman. You walk in a situation, he has a weapon, and it just goes bad from there.
Yes, yes.
But the thing with that, Jen, is how many did you handle when you were on patrol? All the time. Successfully.
We just it's an everyday thing.
It's an everyday thing, and you handle them like 99% successfully without any effort at all, without much effort, and with no threat to you or your subject.
Yeah.
And that never gets talked about, and it should.
Right.
It should.
On the subject of mental illness, police suicides, and just suicides in general, what is your take? What is your
I
piece
think
of advice?
if you talk to people who went through it and nearly killed themselves, and I have,
Nearly killed themselves. Yes,
stop
yes.
it because you
That's
really
right.
once, and I've lost a lot of good officers that way.
Yes,
It's
suicides. Yes.
tragic, and it just leaves a hole in people's hearts and a thought process in their head. You blame yourself because you should have picked it up a lot of times when a friend kills himself. Understand depression, understand pressures around you, and always know that the means are on your hip to end it quickly. So if there's a rush of depression or something like that, and you find that the only way out you can see is killing yourself.
Yes.
I want any more pain. I don't want any more anguish. I don't want anything. I'm just going to kill myself. Yes. So that's one of the biggest threats to police departments around the country, is that the high level of suicides, and also our veterans too.
Oh yes, yes,
Also our veterans who suffer from PTSD.
yes.
You know, who should get more resources than they are getting right now,
Yes.
because a lot of the homeless you see have military backgrounds, and the families can't handle them, and so we need some resources for them.
We're not doing enough.
We're
No.
not. We're fractured politically. No one's pointing the right finger in the right direction.
Yeah. Things get too politicized.
Yes,
That's the problem.
it does.
Yeah. Any advice to our fellow retirees out there who are like lost? They say 20 and out, and I'm gonna sit home and do nothing. Please talk to us.
You know, it's funny because everybody's different. It's what you want to do. I know some really talented people who just say, I'm out. I'm going to help raise my grandkids, and I'm done. So, and they'll go to the gym every day, and I'll see them, wave at the gym to them, and we'll talk about different things. And but I always want to keep my mind spinning at a level that almost where it was, but not quite as much. And so that's what I wanted to do, to keep so I have a lot of friends on social media that I talk to, and everybody's having a great life.
Stay in touch. Okay.
But the big threat is the 9/11 cancer thing.
Okay.
So every year
Gotta take care of yourself.
Every year we get checked.
Yeah.
In different hospitals and different things, and God willing, we'll visit everybody. Will someday end, but too many good officers we've lost. Too many.
Oh, too many.
Especially from our commander 6-7.
Yes. Yes, of course. Yes.
We've lost some great people.
Yeah. Remember detectives Patrick and
Pat Rafferty and
Bobby
Parker.
Bobby Parker. Oh Lord. Yeah.
My wife handled the case.
Oh geez. Yeah.
She was
Saw
a
them.
detective in the 6-7.
Oh yeah. Shot with their own gun. Yeah. And responding to a domestic. A mother's cry for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much threat.
Senseless.
The domestic incidents throw people way off balance, and they're not normally career criminals. This guy was, but not normally, and it sets them off balance. They're really acting in a rage, and so understand that when you walk in the door.
That's
and
right.
Bobby Parker and Pat Rafferty were great cops.
Oh, they're great people.
And
great
Pat
people.
was the ultimate policeman.
Yeah.
And Bobby Parker was a professional wrestler. And understand that they still got his gun from him.
Yes.
And if you knew Parker, I don't know if you know him or not.
Oh yeah.
He was larger than life.
I would run into him all the time in the locker room.
And the gym.
In the gym.
He lifted a ridiculous amount of weights.
Yes.
He was
Always had a
big,
kind
strong
word.
guy. Always the best.
Oh yeah. Always had.
We always
hello.
lose the best people. We always lose. It's unfortunate. It's
Good die young, right?
They good die young. But it's other people there have died from cancers. So it's just. But you pray for them, that you're still in their head. They're still in your heart, and you go forward.
Oh my
Go forward
God.
the best you can. But the retirees understand that. They have to
Yes.
get checked out. We're in a different place now because anybody who went down there, you can still taste that stuff in your mouth. You can still smell it. How did it affect my body? And so you think about it, especially around 9/11. That's when I go get checked out. Right around in September of every year.
Oh geez.
So it's something to consider.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves, everybody.
Yeah, everybody thinks the pension is the best thing that ever lived, and it's a great thing.
Yeah.
But it has a price on it.
Yeah, it does.
It has a price
It
on
does.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Your experiences that you carry with you.
Right.
And different things.
Yeah. I mean, you've sacrificed a little bit over half your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. To this fine career.
I will tell you, we do it all again in a minute. And one of the things we do on the TV show is show the level of dedication and vigilance it takes
Right.
to solve homicides. So that's a big important thing with us, is to show that show them the hard work that's doing, the empathy for the family, that sometimes it doesn't get told, how close you become to that victim's family. When you walk them through this horrible incident, what happened to their loved ones.
Yes.
So that's one of the things we try to show, is that sure, we have technology, sure, we have all these things that we never had before, but we still have basic human skills
That's right.
that are necessary.
Human experience.
That's correct.
Yes. And what would you advise New York City in regards to trying to retain police officers? Like right now, there's a rule: if you've separated from the department more than a year and you're over 35, you just can't come back to a police department. Would you change that rule to, if a police officer has been out for 5 years, had like 10 years of experience, like in a highway or ESU, and they cannot come back to the job?
See, I would say that's probably on a case by case.
Oh, case by case, yes. Right?
So
yes.
it's different than if the person's career and what happened there. I would take them back, of course, because they're already experienced. They're ready to go.
The resources,
They're
like
ready
we
to go.
said,
You still got to do the 20 or 22 now.
Correct.
You still got to do that.
Yes.
But it's a case by case.
Yes,
yes. That's how I look at it. What did you do? What happened in that 5 years?
That's right. Why did you leave? Why did you
leave, and why do you want to come back?
That's right.
And I would take them back.
The rules got to change, right?
I'm surprised I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no. And of course, so nowadays we're experiencing a record number of cops quitting.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
under extreme strain
Yeah,
because of these
yep.
because these protests that often turn to riots. And now
Right.
you find yourself with 1 day off a week, and that's not enough.
That is correct.
That is not enough,
Yeah.
and it's not fair to them.
Yep.
And all this forced overtime too.
That's right.
And I understand
Yep.
the needs of the service. You know the expression.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
And that are important. But it's just the lifestyle you're missing from your family, you're taking from your personal life.
Yep,
It's not
yep.
a good situation.
And basic fatigue rules. Your father was an airline pilot. Pilots have fatigue rules.
They do. They do.
Cops really don't.
Don't.
I mean, in essence, I mean.
You had to tell people to be here the next morning.
Yeah.
If you remember
Yeah.
the carnival each year, the parade.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it was all in. You
Yes,
worked
West
straight.
Indian.
You,
Yep.
West Indian, you worked straight to the weekend.
Yes. Yes. Go home. Sleep
All of a
3
sudden
hours.
now, millions of people streaming into your precinct. You're not going home.
Oh, I remember. Yep.
Yeah, you're not going home.
Yep.
You have
Yep.
to be there to keep people safe.
Yep. Sleep in your car or something. Chief, I mean, any final words of advice to just people out there, the young people especially, how to be happy and productive?
I think now is a different world than when I grew up, and you had to be out on the street. I see a lot of young people working from home now, and on their computers. You need to go out and experience life as well, and experience people, because that's how you grow. It limits your growth sometimes, and I understand completely about remote working, remote teaching, whatever the case may be. But also understand that go out in the world and understand you'll learn more.
Be out there.
Be out there.
Get out the house.
Get experience out there.
Yeah.
Understand that you're limited in scope, and you're missing a lot.
That's it.
I look down and nobody understand why they're doing it. I get it.
Yeah.
No commute or whatever the case
Yeah,
may be.
yeah.
But nonetheless, you're missing a lot of life.
Yes,
you
that's
really
right.
are.
The physical interactions.
And if you want to move up in your company, you really have to. And you're whatever you're doing, whatever organization, company, and in any profession,
Right.
go to work with a positive attitude.
It shows.
And be on time.
Be on time. Now, what's the definition of being on time? Is gotta be there 10 minutes
Be
early.
early. Be early, because then you really have time to settle in and understand what's going on. So those type of things I would tell, and you look for ladders. Like I spoke before, CompStat, for ascension in your profession. What's happening. Is this branch of the organization, more pushing forward? Is this particular leader more important to work with? And I was fortunate. It's not what I looked for. I was fortunate to work, for guys like Joe Esposito and Joe Dunn, all these great people who I learned from, emulated in some things, and did my own things and other things. But nonetheless, I did. So when I became chief of detectives, which was the big job in the NYPD, it really I brought all those things into perspective, and it helped me a lot.
Wow, that's tremendous. Well, Chief, on behalf of all the fine people out there in YouTube Wonderland and myself, we want to express our sincere thanks for giving up your time off your busy schedule. At 69, the man is still bright, sharp, well-preserved, and still sacrificing. Because once you go beyond 20 years and then further, you're actually losing money, so to speak, even though you're collecting a so-called pension. Right?
Yeah, well, you travel and you have a great life, but understand that you have to keep your mind going.
Yes,
at least in my situation, anyway.
Yes.
I like the challenge each day brings.
And a final word, a tribute to all the women in the world out there. You are a believer in the institution of marriage.
I am.
Yes.
I'm married. And I'm very fortunate. I have I have two children, two grandchildren. I've been blessed so, and I'll tell you, I make time for them all.
Yes.
You have to, because now I have no excuses. I gotta go out the door. So, so now, which is really great, which really works for me, and it's a great life. It really is. But I've been to where I was going to go. I don't know if there's any more challenges left for me in life. I don't know.
No, there are. We just don't know yet.
But you'll meet them as you meet everything else. It was a great run that we had in the police department. I don't know if they'll be able to carry on the same way we did.
Yes.
That we had all the success that we had, that we really turned the corner in this city, and it really made a difference. So in my time, in the 80s cops, as they call us, when we came on, and we were told they didn't expect much from us. There's some hardcore Vietnam guys who were they were hard fellas. Yep. But I learned from them, and they were great policemen. And I learned from them, and a lot of them will tell you now, you beat us, because we turned the city around.
Yes.
The city was in a downward spiral, and then crack hit. We endured that, let's not remember the AIDS epidemic that we also endured. And helped
the AIDS,
that.
yeah.
A lot of things happened that no one talks about that.
That's
a
right.
lot of things happened.
That's right.
That in my tenure, that developed. Cell phones. Each cop has a cell phone now.
Yes, yes.
Was able to dial up every job we go to.
Oh my God.
I would love to have had that.
If you could do it all over again, you
I
probably
would.
put in another 35 years.
More technology. More technology. Yeah.
Oh Lord. Well, God bless you, Chief, and your family, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Jenda. Good luck.
Oh,
What
thank
do.
you. Thank you.
All right.